I was 26 when Rachel looked me dead in the eye and told me she'd cheated on me. She didn't cry, didn't look sorry. She just sat there on that bar stool in our little kitchen, one leg crossed over the other like she was waiting for a waiter to take her order. Then she gave me that smile, the one she always flashed when she was trying to get her way. Except this time, she wasn't flirting. I needed a real man, she said. Just like that. And she smiled. Now, I don't know what you're supposed to do when the woman you've been with for 3 years tells you something like that. Me? I just stared at her. Not mad. Not sad. Just empty. Like someone had reached inside me and flipped the switch off. I didn't say a word. Didn't yell. Didn't call her names or ask who it was. I just stood up, grabbed my keys off the counter, and walked out the door. My truck was halfway on empty, and I didn't care. I drove anyway. Hit every back road I could find, gravel crunching, under the tires, that old diesel engine humming, low like it was trying to soothe me. I lit a cigarette even though I hadn't touched one in 2 years. Tasted like regret and dry anger. Somewhere around midnight, I ended up parked under that busted street lamp by Miller's feed store, the one with the flicker that never got fixed. I sat there with the window down, smoking and thinking. Not about Rachel. Not even really about the cheating. I was thinking about the look on her face when she said it. That smirk. Like I was a dog she was proud to be leaving behind. Now here's where it gets twisted. The next morning, my phone lit up. I figured maybe it was one of my buddies checking in. Nope. It was them, my own damn friends, talking her side. Bro, don't overreact. She's just being honest. Maybe you were too soft. Too soft. Let me tell you, I've been called a lot of things. Quiet. Stubborn. A little too serious. But soft? That one cut deep. These were fellas I'd helped move in and out of apartments, patched up after fights, bailed out when they got too drunk. I'd given more than I'd ever asked for. And here they were, chinning on me faster than a cat in a bathtub. I sat on the hood of my truck that morning, drinking gas station coffee, birds chirping like nothing happened. And that's when it hit me. I'd spent 3 years loving a woman who thought loyalty was weakness, and a decade building friendships with guys who'd sell me out for a pretty face and a cold beer. But I wasn't broken. No, sir. I was wide awake. And right then, sitting in that parking lot with cigarette ash on my jeans and a cold coffee cup in my hand, I started putting a plan together. Not the kind with yelling or drama. No swinging fists or smashed windows. I'm talking about a slow burn. The kind of revenge that doesn't shout. It smiles back. That next morning, after the dust had started to settle in my head, I went home. Rachel wasn't there. She'd left a note on the counter, real classy. Said she was giving me space. Not even an apology. Just that smug little space line, like I was the one who screwed up. Fine by me. First thing I did was grab my old college notebook, the one I used to track side jobs and truck parts. Hadn't opened it in a while, but it still smelled like motor oil and pencil shavings. I flipped it open, tore out a fresh page, and wrote at the top in big block letters. The Reckoning. Now, I ain't the vengeful type by nature. But this wasn't about rage. This was about clarity. Justice, maybe. A little lesson in value. See, Rachel thought I was soft because I didn't put on a show. But there's a difference between soft and quiet. Quiet men pay attention. We notice things. And when we make moves, well, we don't waste them. First name I wrote down was hers. Underneath it, I made a list. Lives rent-free at my place. Drives my second car. Her phone's on my plan. Got her that job at Kaylee's boutique. Then I added a $sign next to each one. Totaled it up. Let's just say, it wasn't peanuts. Next, I wrote down the names of those 3 friends who'd sided with her. Jake, Travis, and Brent. My so-called crew. Now Jake, he owed me $600 from last year when I helped cover his busted radiator and never asked for it back. Travis? I'd helped him redo his kitchen cabinets 2 weekends, free labor. Brent? That boy slept on my couch for a month after his girlfriend kicked him out, and I never charged him a dime. Suddenly that soft label didn't quite fit the story, did it? So here's what I did. I started pulling back. First, I called the phone company and took Rachel off my plan. Left a polite little voicemail too. Hey, just simplifying my bills. You'll want to get your own service by end of the week. Hope all's well. Then I called Kaylee, the owner of that boutique where Rachel worked. Kaylee and I go way back. High school prom dates, believe it or not. I just said, hey, you might want to keep an eye on Rachel's till drawer. No details. Just friendly advice. Next, I posted my old truck, the one Rachel been driving, on Facebook Marketplace. Cleaned it up nice, fresh coat of wax, listed it for cash only. Sold it that night to a guy from 2 towns over. Took a picture with him in the truck and made it my new profile photo. No caption. Just let the world wonder. Now the best part? I didn't say a word about any of it. Didn't confront Rachel. Didn't blast anybody online. Didn't tell my story. I let the silence work for me. And let me tell you, that drove him nuts. 2 days later, Rachel texted me. Hey, did the Wi-Fi go out? I replied, no idea. I changed the password. That was it. Nothing more. No threats, no yelling. Just one lock clicking shut after another. She moved out that weekend. Left behind a box of her stuff and a voicemail about how I was being cold. Cold? Nah. I was just finally warming up to the idea of taking care of me. So Rachel's out. Gone like yesterday's weather. Took her makeup, her yoga mat, and 2 of my flannel shirts, which, I'll admit, stung a bit. Not cause of the shirts. Just the audacity. She left behind a box labeled Just Stuff. Inside, 1 half-used candle, a dog-eared copy of Eat, Pray, Love, and a hoodie she stole from some poor sap before me. I tossed it all in the Goodwill pile. No need for keepsakes from a woman who needed a real man. But now it was time for the boys. Jake, Travis, Brent. 3 men I'd helped over the years like brothers. And when Rachel pulled her little stunt, they picked her. Like I was some background character in my own life story. Said I needed to be real about my part in the breakup. My part. I guess being loyal, paying the bills, and not sleeping around ain't what it used to be. Now, I'm not a believer in loud revenge. You don't win a chess match by flipping the board. You win by watching, waiting, and striking when they forget you're still playing. I started with Travis. That man was halfway through a reno on his kitchen. Old rental house he was trying to flip. Guess who'd been doing his plumbing? Me. I'd already run the pipes under the sink and told him I'd be back to finish the install that weekend. Well, weekend came, and I didn't show. He called. I let it go to voicemail. Texted. I read it, didn't reply. Then he called again the next day. Panicked. Dude, water's leaking from the shutoff. I'm getting fined. I replied. Sorry, man. Turns out I'm just not a real enough man to handle it. Good luck, though. Now, Jake. He worked at a body shop, ran a little side hustle out of it on the weekends, under-the-table kind of deals. I'd been his go-to guy for pickup and delivery. Used my truck for runs, never asked for gas money. So I swung by, real casual, and asked for that $600 he owed me from last spring. He got cagey. Said he didn't have it right now. I smiled and said, no problem. I'll just stop by every Friday till you do. He never paid up, but I did stop by. Every Friday. Loud truck, early in the morning, revved it just enough to make the shop manager come out and ask questions. After the 3rd visit, I hear Jake lost his weekend gig. Not my fault. And Brent? Oh, Brent. The golden retriever of the bunch. The one who thought loyalty meant showing up for beers, but not for life. He still had a key to my place. Had it from way back when we used to crash after poker nights. So I changed the locks, waited a couple days, and then texted. Hey, just a heads up. If you show up with that old key again, the new tenant's got a big dog and a short fuse. There was no tenant, but the mental image was enough. I watched them unravel slowly. They didn't blow up all at once. Nah, it was the quiet kind of unraveling, the kind where they started noticing the favors were gone. The texts went unanswered. The tools were no longer on loan. The guy they used to count on wasn't there anymore. I became a ghost with a driver's license. And you know the funniest part? They still hadn't figured out what was coming next. Because this wasn't the end. It was just the prelude. I had one more move to make. And brother, this one? This one was going to be beautiful. So, the bridges were burned. Rachel's gone, the boys are ghosted, and I've reclaimed my life one quiet click at a time. Lock changes, password resets, debts called in like Sunday tithes. But I wasn't done. Not yet. See, this whole time, Rachel had been strutting around town like nothing happened. I started hearing things, little snippets at the diner, whispers at the feed store. Even my buddy Clay at the gym said he saw her with some slicked-up fella in tight jeans and an even tighter haircut. Turns out the real man she cheated on me with? A guy named Miles. Local real estate agent. Drives a Tesla, wears loafers with no socks. The kind of guy who orders sparkling water at a barbecue and says things like, "We're vibing," with a straight face. Now look, I don't fault a man for being different. But when you build your swagger on another man's ashes, well, you've got a problem coming. Especially when that other man kept receipts. So I started digging. Not out of spite, more like curiosity. Rachel had logged into a few of her accounts on my laptop over the years. Netflix, Spotify, and her Gmail. Never logged out. I never snooped before. I trusted her. But trust, as I've come to learn, is a lot like dry kindling. Once it catches fire, it burns fast. So one night, I clicked in. And buddy, what I found. Let's just say, some people shouldn't mix business with pleasure. Turns out Rachel had been using my truck and my gas money to drive his clients to showings while he was off networking, which I assume is realtor speak for drinking fancy cocktails and flirting with anything in heels. Even better? She'd been bad-mouthing me in emails. Not just to him, but to others. Made me out to be some lazy hillbilly she couldn't get rid of. Called me a charity case with a truck and a toolbox. Let that one sink in. Charity case. Now, I could have gone scorched earth right then. But no. I wanted something more surgical. So I made an anonymous tip to the real estate board. Told him a certain agent was letting unlicensed folks, namely a girlfriend with no certifications, chauffeur clients around in her ex-boyfriend's truck, all while conducting informal business without the proper credentials. Attached screenshots. Times. Addresses. Didn't sign a name. Didn't need to. 2 weeks later, Miles' fancy nameplate was off his downtown office door. Local gossip said he'd stepped away to restructure. I bet he restructured his drawers too, once he realized someone had caught wind. Rachel, meanwhile, posted a vague Instagram story about toxic energy trying to dim her light. Oh, sweetheart. That wasn't toxic energy. That was consequences. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Jack, aren't you taking this a little far? Well, maybe. But see, I didn't start this war. They just didn't expect the quiet guy to finish it. So there I was, house to myself, clean slate, peace and quiet, broken only by the sound of wind chimes and my own thoughts. And I gotta tell ya, after the smoke clears, the silence hits different. Like standing on a porch after a summer storm, watching the last of the clouds crawl away, wondering what kind of man you'll be now that the noise is gone. I took the first full Saturday and gutted the place. Not out of spite. Just needed the ghosts gone. Her candles? Gone. That dream catcher she bought at a flea market and never dusted? Gone. The motivational quote framed above the bed, live, laugh, love, straight into the fire pit. Damn thing always rubbed me the wrong way anyway. The house started breathing again. Smelled like cedar and cleaner. For the first time in months, it felt like mine. And with that clean house came a clean head. I sat down one morning with a yellow legal pad, a black coffee, and a question that hadn't occurred to me in a long, long time. What do I want? Not what she wanted. Not what the boys expected. Not what made the most financial sense. What do I want? And brother, once I started writing, the pen didn't stop. Turns out, I've been living like a passenger in my own truck. Giving rides, fixing flats, talking detours for everyone else while never heading toward anywhere I picked. So I made a list. Not a bucket list. More like a blueprint for the life I should have been building all along. Open my own workshop. Get my damn pilot's license. Fix up grandma's old lake cabin. Say no more often. Cook steak once a week. Medium rare. Cast iron. Real butter. Get a dog. A big, lazy mutt that farts in his sleep. Didn't matter if I checked all the boxes. What mattered was that they were my boxes. And for the first time since I could remember, I was excited. Not angry. Not sad. Not numb. Just ready. So I started small. Cleared out the garage and turned it into a workspace. Bought myself a new set of tools, nothing fancy, just solid. Cleaned up the old workbench. Hung up my granddad's hammer. That thing's got more history than most folks' Facebook feeds. Then I filed for a business license, Maddox Custom Woodworks. I didn't tell anybody. Didn't post about it. Just started building. Tables. Benches. Custom porch swings. First order came in from a guy 2 towns over who wanted a whiskey shelf shaped like a bourbon barrel. Paid me cash, left a 5-star review, and told his cousin. His cousin told his church buddy. You know how that goes. Word of mouth's better than 1,000 likes, I'll tell you that much. And wouldn't you know it? Within a month, I had enough work to keep me busy every weekend. I'd work all day, clean up, crack a cold beer, and sit on my porch swing, the one I built with my own hands, watching the sun melt into the trees. And that peace? That quiet? It was earned. No, don't get me wrong. The wounds were still there. I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about her now and then. Sometimes I'd catch myself wondering if she missed me. If Miles ever figured out that charisma can't pay the electric bill. If Jake, Travis, or Brent ever realized what they gave up. But the thoughts? They didn't hurt like they used to. They were just like scars. Proof I'd survived. It was a Tuesday. One of those weird, in-between days where nothing big happens, but you feel like the universe is holding its breath. I'd just finished sanding down a cherrywood side table when I heard tires crunching on gravel. Didn't think much of it. Maybe the UPS guy dropping off more stain or the neighbor's kid trying to sell me popcorn for baseball. But then came the knock. Not a bang. Not a timid tap. Just 3 calm, steady knocks. Confident. Familiar. I wiped my hands on a rag, opened the door, and there she was. Cassie. Now, let me paint the picture. Cassie was the girl I'd known before Rachel. Way back. Small-town waitress. Used to drive a rust-red Mustang that coughed like a smoker in the cold. We dated for a bit in our early 20s, before careers, bills, and betrayal made everything so damn complicated. We ended on good terms. Real good, actually. But life did what it always does. It got busy. So to see her there, 5 years later, looking like she'd just stepped outta a country song in jeans and boots, hair tied up with a pencil, let's just say the wind kicked up in my chest a bit. Hey, stranger, she said, grinning like she knew she was a chapter one didn't finish reading. I blinked. Cassie, what the hell brings you out here? She held up a flyer. One of mine. One I'd posted on the bulletin board at Holbrook's Feed and Supply 2 weeks back. You build porch swings now. I chuckled. Among other things. Come on in, if you don't mind sawdust and bad coffee. She stepped inside like she'd never left. Same easy stride, same quiet laugh. We sat at my kitchen table, new one I'd built myself, and caught up. Turns out, she'd moved back to town a few months ago. Divorced. No kids. Working remote for some travel company. Said she saw my flyer, recognized the name, and figured it was worth a visit. I always said you had hands built for better things than breaking your back on someone else's job site, she said. That hit me harder than I let on. We talked for 2 hours. About everything and nothing. About people we used to know, dumb stuff we did when gas was still under $2, how neither of us could stand reality TV. And when she finally stood up to leave, she smiled and said, "You look good, Evan. Like you finally stopped trying to be what everyone else needed." She didn't ask for anything. Didn't flirt. Didn't fish. Just said she'd be around. If I ever felt like sharing coffee that didn't taste like burnt disappointment. And then she was gone. Just like that. But the feeling? That lingered. Like maybe the universe wasn't just holding its breath. Maybe it was exhaling. A week after Cassie showed up, the wind changed. Not the weather, not literally. I mean the feeling. You ever feel that? Like the world's about to throw something your way, and it ain't quite decided whether it's a blessing or a test. Well, it came knocking in the form of Rachel. Yep. Same knock. Same door. Only this time, I didn't feel a damn thing in my chest. I opened the door slow, arms crossed, leaned on the frame like I wasn't in any hurry. She had on this half-fake smile like she was trying to figure out what version of herself to be, sweet, sorry, or seductive. She settled on Wounded Angel. Classic. Hey, she said. Can we talk? I looked her over. Designer jacket, fresh manicure, like she was heading to brunch and just happened to be in the neighborhood. I gestured toward the driveway. We're talking now. That threw her a bit. She expected to be let in, but I wasn't giving up that space. Not anymore. She shuffled a little. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. I wasn't in a good place. I gave her a long look. The kind you give a used car that's been lightly driven by one owner and smells like lies. You weren't in a good place, I repeated. So you set mine on fire. She looked down, played with her sleeve. I miss how safe it felt with you. Oh, safe. That's what I'd been to her. A harbor. A wallet. A tool chest. Not a partner. Not a man. Just a place to land when life got windy. I didn't say anything right away. Just let the silence stretch. It made her twitchy. Then I finally spoke. Rachel, I ain't mad. Not anymore. But you don't get to come back here just 'cause the world didn't turn out the way you thought it would. She opened her mouth to say something, but I raised a hand. I forgave you a while back, I said. But I didn't do it for you. I did it so I could move on. You don't belong here anymore. And deep down, you know that. She stared at me, eyes wide, lips just barely parted like she wanted to cry. But there weren't any real tears behind it. Not this time. Maybe there never were. I hope you find what you're looking for, I added, calm as you please. But whatever it is, it ain't here. And then I closed the door. Didn't slam it. Just closed it. That night, I didn't drink. Didn't overthink. I just made a steak, watched an old Western, and slept like a man who finally remembered his worth. And wouldn't you know it, next morning I found a note stuck under my windshield wiper. No name, just written in that curvy handwriting I knew too well. You were always more man than I gave you credit for. I see that now. Too late, I guess. Damn right, it was too late. After Rachel's little goodbye note, things settled. Real peaceful like. I'd get up early, hit the shop, work with my hands till the sun was high. The radio would hum some old country tune, the scent of sawdust in the air, and the coffee'd stay warm 'cause I wasn't dealing with drama for the first time in hell years. Then, out of nowhere, Cassie started showing up more regular. Not in a clingy way, just friendly. She'd swing by with muffins, sometimes beer, sometimes just her crooked little smile and stories about her idiot landlord or the trouble with finding decent tomatoes in this town since Marla's market shut down. And man, it felt easy. The kind of easy you don't notice at first 'cause it's not blowing fireworks. It's just a calm sea. Safe water. One Friday night, we sat on the porch, drinking iced tea and listening to the crickets. She looked over and said, "You ever think about how much crap we tolerate just to keep people around?" I nodded. Yeah, but I'm finally learning that being alone ain't the worst thing in the world. She smirked. But sometimes not being alone with the right person? That's something else entirely. That was the night I kissed her. Slow. Sure. Like I wasn't trying to prove anything. Just reminding both of us that some things don't need explaining. And she kissed me back like maybe she'd been waiting since 2018. Now here's where it gets funny. A week later, we go to the town's little fall festival. You know, hay bales, kettle corn, some fella trying to play Johnny Cash on a banjo with 3 strings. We're walking hand in hand, not trying to make a scene, just enjoying the air, when who do I see working the artisan soap booth? Yep, Rachel. And oh, she saw us all right. Cassie looked radiant. One of those sundresses that makes a woman dangerous without trying. I was wearing my cleanest jeans and a flannel that didn't have paint stains, so, you know, practically formal wear. Rachel's smile cracked like old plaster. She didn't say a word, just stared like the wind had gotten knocked clean out of her. And you know what? I didn't feel smug. Didn't feel vengeful. I just felt good. Like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Cassie leaned in, kissed me on the cheek, and whispered, "That her?" I nodded. She grinned. She looks like someone who just realized she bet on the wrong horse. I chuckled. She did. And then we went and bought 2 giant caramel apples and ate 'em sitting on a hay bale, watching the sun go down behind the Ferris wheel. 6 months later, life had found its rhythm again. Not the same rhythm as before. Not that quiet hum of routine where you forget what day it is 'cause they all feel the same. No, this was intentional. Like each day had a little weight to it, a little color. Even Monday had its charm now. Cassie and I weren't rushing anything. We weren't plastering it all over Facebook, weren't looking for likes or approval. Just 2 people with some miles behind him, finally driving the same direction. She helped me with the books for the workshop. Turns out, she's got a mind for numbers. I built her a custom bookshelf out of white oak. She cried when she saw it, then told me it was crooked just to keep me humble. She moved in around the holidays. No big announcement. Just slowly started leaving coffee mugs and hoodies around until one day I realized my closet smelled like cinnamon and lavender. I didn't mind one bit. As for Rachel, well, she's still around town, trying real hard not to be noticed looking at me. Word is Miles left the state. Something about starting fresh. Pretty sure that was code for got fired and skipped town. The 3 Stooges? Jake, Travis, Brent? Funny how fast folks fall off when you stop being useful to him. I haven't seen him since October, and you know what? I don't miss a one of him. Sometimes folks are just chapters. Doesn't mean you gotta reread him. One evening, Cassie and I were sitting out back, fire pit going, her legs tossed over mine like she'd been doing it forever. She looked over at me and said, "You ever think about how different things could have been if she hadn't cheated?" I stared into the flames for a bit. Yeah, I said. I'd probably still be stuck thinking that being needed was the same as being loved. She didn't say nothing. Just reached over and took my hand. You know, the funny part is, I thought revenge would be the part that felt good. But it wasn't. Not really. Oh sure, It scratched an itch. Gave me some clarity. But the real reward? It was rediscovering who I was when I wasn't trying to be everything for everyone else. It was learning to say no. It was sitting on a porch swing I built with my own hands, holding a cold drink and the warm hand of someone who saw me, not the paycheck, not the safety net, not the stepping stone. Just me. And that's peace. That's the kind of revenge they don't write songs about, 'cause it's too quiet, too grown. But I'll take it over fire and fury any day.